Hi, my name is Jeff Wettstein. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about physical education. But before we get started here on this talk, let's get moving a little bit. Let's stand up. Let's all kind of get jogging in place. Maybe do some jumping jacks. This helps us get our blood flowing, helps our concentration, helps our focus so we can pay attention a little bit more and hopefully learn a little bit more during this TED Talk about physical education. Physical education has this stigma of the old gym teacher holding a clipboard, whistle around his neck, yelling at students to run more laps, yelling at students down to give me 20. Physical education has changed a lot. Physical education is not gym. It's not gym class. Physical education is just that. It is physical education. And we're physically educating the whole body, not just the muscles, not just the lungs and heart, but we're physically educating the brain too. Schools have a unique opportunity with the amount of time that they see students to really promote physical education and to teach physical education as a whole, where we're teaching the whole person, the mind and the body. Some major concerns in America today are, number one, obesity. That's been in the news a lot lately, the last 8-10 years. The obesity rate in America has dramatically increased. Michelle Obama, our First Lady, has made that a priority of hers, is to combat childhood obesity. The NFL, National Football League, has their big campaign of Play 60, getting students to be more active for 60 minutes a day. There's a lot of emphasis on being physically active, yet most of that is outside of the schools. The schools see students for 6, 7, sometimes more hours per day. That's a great opportunity for them to help promote being physically active. We are in the least physically demanding period in human history. We have electric this, we have electric that, gas powered this, automatic that. Everything we do these days, from brushing our teeth to turning a screw, is all done with some kind of electronic or powered device. Very little is actually done under human power these days. This sedentary lifestyle has increased our mortality rates. So the sedentary lifestyle is now the fourth leading cause of death in America. It has even surpassed smoking in the leading causes of death in America. I have some numbers for you to think about. 190 billion. $190 billion is the added expense from obesity on our healthcare costs. 938 million. That is the amount of gallons of extra gasoline that is burned by cars due to obesity. That equates out to about $3.4 billion in additional costs to Americans. 14.3 billion. That's the amount of dollars spent with healthcare costs just for childhood obesity. 365 billion in costs annually per year by Americans due to obesity. Physical education promotes a healthy, physically active, physical fitness, lifelong activity style of life. That's the goal of physical education. Now, let's talk about student achievement and standardized test results. Let's play that numbers game again. 17. The number, that's the literacy rank of the United States worldwide. 17th. 24th. That's the US's overall educational rank. Those numbers could use a little help, couldn't they? When I started this, I had you stand up and move around a little bit. That all increases your blood flow, increases your oxygen to your brain. We're going to talk a little bit more about that now. Charles Hillman studied 239 third and fifth grade students. As their anaerobic and their body mass index increased, so did their reading and their math scores. This was consistent across genders and across socioeconomic status. Neither of those played any factor into whether they went up or down in their math or reading scores. They were consistent with, regardless of what gender you were or what socioeconomic background you came from. Physical education, physical activity, exercise increases the protein called BDNF. BDNF sprouts neural synapses that help the connections in your brain as well as strengthen those connections to help you retain memory. Exercise and physical activity increase the serotonin levels, dopamine levels, and other neurotransmitters. Naperville, Illinois, their high school system took this research years ago and started implementing a model to help increase students because they had some students that were low achieving and they wanted to find a way to get them higher up on the scale, help them out to achieve better academically. They instituted a 0-hour physical education class, which was directly prior to the students' most challenging subject matter. They found literacy scores, reading scores, increased twofold. They found that the math scores doubled. These students would go to physical education class, and then they would go to their toughest subject area. When we started, again, I had you stand up, move around a little bit, and talk a little bit about how exercise helps increase your blood flow. It increases your oxygen level. It increases your alertness. Speaking of alertness, we often think, we yawn because we're tired. Why do we yawn? Is it because we're tired, or is there some other reason? There's a lot of research out there that suggests that we yawn because our brain needs oxygen. That's our brain telling the body, I need more oxygen. Did you know that your brain uses 20% of the oxygen that we breathe in? For one organ in our body, now we all know the brain's a very important organ, but for one organ to use 20% of our intake, that's quite a bit. Exercise also helps reduce stress and improves attention. Speaking of attention, the rate of ADD and ADHD is growing across America. And the farther out east you get, the higher it's growing. Attention spans typically, someone said that one time that attention span is your year plus one. That's how many minutes of attention you have. And when we're looking at a single thought or a single object, our attention span now, in this day and age, our electronic age, has dropped lower than a goldfish's attention span. Dr. Hoza measured the impact on focus and mood and found that exercise increased the focus and the mood of students with ADHD, and it helped increase their impulse control also, meaning the students weren't as impulsive to react to other students or other things that were happening within the classroom. There's a lot of other research out there that suggests that exercise is very beneficial to students with ADHD, to help them control their impulses, to help them focus. Now, with all these benefits that we've just talked about with exercise, you would think that physical education would be a standard in most classes or most schools. Unfortunately, just 6% of schools in America offer physical education 5 days per week. Most schools don't. A lot of schools don't even have it 3 times a week. A lot of them only have it 2 or 1 time a week. You would think with all this research and with the lagging scores of US, we'd want more physical activity. I think Thomas Jefferson said it best way back in the late 1700s. He said, if the body is feeble, the mind will not be strong. I give more attention to exercise of the body than of the mind, believing it's wholesome to both. Now, if Thomas Jefferson knew the importance of physical activity way back in the late 1700s, how can we, in today's world, keep pushing physical education out of the class, out of the school, and it becomes cut more often? I hope that we will see physical education become added back into our daily curriculum and as a daily part of our educational system. Now get up, get out there, get moving. Enough sitting around. Thank you for listening. Bye.